Tisha Lewis, and this is The Good Word. For those joining us for the first time, welcome. And for The Good Word family returning, welcome back to your dose of faith, inspiration, and The Good Word. To my right, Erana Tyler joining us on The Good Word. You may know her from reality TV show Love and Marriage DC, but she wears many hats, including wife and mother and entrepreneur, and also woman of faith.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We've been trying to make this happen for a while.
And I'm excited to be here with you today.
We're very excited to have you. You've come on The Good Word a couple times, but it was during the pandemic, so it was virtual. This is the first time we've had you in person.
In person, yes.
Which is so amazing. And for folks watching who don't know, but I think everybody knows, your husband is Jamie Tyler.
Yes.
Who we had on The Good Word a few weeks ago.
Yes, yes.
Let's start with faith.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't shy away from that on The Good Word. No. You are a woman of faith, and you have navigated so many different paths. How has your faith impacted your journey?
Well, let's start with, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my faith, if it wasn't for the man above. He is responsible for my success. He's responsible for my good health. He's responsible for keeping my family together, safe. My husband and I, loving husband, a long marriage. We've been married for 30 years.
Congratulations.
30 years.
Recently celebrated your anniversary.
Yes, in January.
Congratulations. We can celebrate that for however long we want to.
Exactly. I mean, 30 years in this day and age, in this time, that's
incredible.
An accomplishment.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, faith obviously is so important when it comes to who you are in terms of the fabric of who you are. And I think so many people see you on reality TV, but maybe that's a side of you that they don't get to see as much.
Right. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because people do see me from reality TV as a public figure on social media, and they don't know the good heart that I have, the loyalty that I have. Being this amazing mom, and look, pat myself on the back.
Yes, yes.
Amazing wife, is because of my faith in my religion, and being close to God, and my family also being close to God as well. A faith-based, home and relationship with God.
And speaking of faith and family, some folks, I don't know if they know this or not, you and I were talking about this, but you actually started your family as a teenage mother.
Yes, I did. I was 16 years old.
Teenage and single mother.
Single mom. I was still in high school. I was 16. I was heading towards my 12th year in high school, 12th grade. And it was a struggle. And I'm so glad that I had my family who was there to support me and my daughter at that time, because I didn't have a job because I was still in school, trying to raise her. And when, the community found out that I was pregnant as a teenager, it was the stereotype, oh, you're not going to make it, or you're not going to be successful, or, all kinds of things were planted in my head. And I'm glad that because of God, I kept on the right track. I kept my education. I never missed a day in school. I ended up getting a job after high school and was able to take care of my daughter. But I just would like to thank that my family, that was surrounding us and making sure that we were taken care of, and my daughter was taken care of, because I was a teenager. I was so young. I didn't know anything about raising a kid.
And so, people who are watching this, that's a powerful testimony. I mean, we're talking about teenage motherhood.
Teenage motherhood.
And struggling in some aspects with that, even with the support.
Right.
And now look at you.
Now look at me. And the thing about that is, I do a lot of speaking engagements. I recently just did one at a college, Trinity College University, speaking to single moms. Young mothers who are pregnant or have kids. And I like to share my story. And actually, that was my first time sharing my story at Trinity University.
Wow.
Yes, I never really spoke about being a teenage mom. Sometimes when people look at you, they say, oh, not a teenage mom. She grew up to be, this successful woman, no struggles at all. you know.
They see the outcome.
The outcome.
And it looks like it all happened overnight.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen
overnight. You know, I've had my struggles, and now I'm, having that opportunity where I can go out and share my story and share my struggles and let these single moms know that it's not the end all be all. You know, that if you keep pressing forward, you believe in yourself, you have that community that can come around you and, help you and support you, you can do it. And, look, here I am now. I never thought that I would be right here where I am today, sitting here next to Tisha Lewis.
The gift is that you are the gift. Me sitting next to you, I'm soaking it all in, everything you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just so inspirational. What would you say, even at that young age, did you have faith then? What was maybe the biggest challenge, aside from, I suppose, resources?
Yeah, well, my biggest challenges was because I was so young, I really couldn't do what other teenagers would do. The normal teenagers, they, went to games and went to parties and they were able to hang out with their friends. And because I had a daughter, I had to take care of her. I couldn't just drop her off to my mom or my grandmother, although they were willing to help and support us. As a mom, you just can't do that. I don't care what age you are. My family taught me right. And, so I missed out on a lot of childhood. And it made me grow up fast. I had to grow up super fast. So a lot of things that I wanted to do as a teenager, I was not able to do. I'm now, I can't say I'm making up for it now.
You were doing it all now.
I'm making up for it now. I'm enjoying life with my husband. But yeah, I missed out on a lot of things. And I don't blame my daughter. I'm not going to say, because of you, I was not able to do X, Y, and Z. I love her with all my heart, and she's taught me a lot. Because
you grow up together.
We grow up together, and we're super close. We're like best friends. We're like girlfriends because we're so close in age. And like you said, we grew up together. So that's a blessing.
And, you have a daughter and two sons. Two sons, that's right. Which I feel like we've had your whole family on the Good Word, except your daughter.
Okay, so we have to get her.
Yes, we'll have to work that out. So you all have been married 3 decades.
Yes, 3 decades.
Y'all took a very nice anniversary trip.
Yes, we did.
I'm all in your business. I'm all in the group chat. Uninvited.
Look, you and everyone else. It's okay. We're used to it.
So, happy anniversary again.
Thank you.
Your husband is retired DC police.
Yes, he is. He's retired.
That's a heavy lift.
Yes, it is.
Tell me, what was that like before the TV fame, and then after you all joined the whole cast of Love and Marriage DC, he was still working.
Yes, he was.
For the DC Police Department.
Yes, he was. So before all the TV fame, my husband and I were still popular in the DMV area. And it's because while he was a police officer, he had the outlet. He had this hobby. And he hates for me to say a hobby. But he was doing promotion, parties. Right. He was promoting parties and events, not just in the D.C. area, but Miami, Atlanta.
All the major cities.
All the major cities, Las Vegas. And we got popular, both him and I, and I'm going to say me too, because I was with him. I was helping him. I was helping him promote these parties as well, although I wasn't officially J&J.
Right,
okay,
right.
So I was a part of it. And, just coming out, looking great head to toe, greeting people, being very nice to people, being great hosts when we did throw parties. We got very popular from that. So when people would see us out, they were like, oh, that's J&J. But they would always call me the first lady of J&J.
Right.
And then we had the TikToks. We started doing the skits and everything. And this was before reality TV.
And this was even before that was a thing.
Yeah, it was before that was a thing. It was during COVID. And it was almost like, what else are you going to do while you're stuck in the house and you really can't go out? My husband, he talked to a friend of his and was saying, you can make, extra income from, doing skits on the social media. And we started doing skits. And people loved it because we were basing it around relationships. The funny stuff and very relatable.
Yes.
Very relatable. And when we would go out again, it was like, oh, my favorite TikTok couple.
Wow.
Yes. So we got a lot of popularity from that as well. And then once the show came about, it was, my favorite couple from Love and Marriage,
he's a DC police officer.
Yes. Our first season on Love and Marriage DC, he was a police officer. So he wasn't talking about the police. He didn't want to discuss his job or anything like that at all, because he knows how social media can get. He knows the audience, and he was like, no, we're not going to discuss it. He told the producer, no, don't talk about my job.
Right.
Second season, he let it out because he was already retired.
He was no longer
a police officer. He was retired, so he was able to kind of let his head down and be himself, because he really couldn't be himself season 1. He was kind of like, not talking much and not really inserting himself in certain situations. And after he retired, he was like, okay, game on, game on.
Right. That's when we met the real Jamie.
That's when you met the real Jamie.
What's been the biggest challenge, I would say, about, being married to a police officer and navigating from, once a very private life, then a very social life, then a global life, going from, being socialites to being reality TV stars?
Well, one thing about being a police officer's wife was just, him being out in harm's way, just praying and making sure that he came home safely. That was my biggest worry and my challenge. He did a really good job not telling me much that was going on, while he was at work on duty, because he knew I'm such a worried person. I worry so much, even with the kids just leaving. Even at this grown age with the kids, it's still, when they leave out the house, I'm like on pins and needles.
Where are you going? When are you coming back?
When are you coming back? And I'm tracking them. I just want to make sure they're safe. That was my biggest fear, making sure that my husband was safe and that he came home to his family every single night.
Right.
As far as with the TV now, as far as a married couple and the backlash that we sometimes get from social media off of a 40-minute episode.
Right.
People will judge him, and I'm gonna say him, because he was a former cop, and is a reason, certain things that he would do or say. They would say he's being too aggressive, or he's being mean to his wife, and he's a former cop. So he has this tough interior,
right.
But I know my husband, and I know my husband is very loving. He's very supportive. He's been supportive since day one. And he's a great father. He's an amazing husband. And he's nothing like what people see him on TV as. A little
snippet.
He
took some pretty heavy hits.
He took a lot of heavy hits.
Was that hard for you?
It was very hard for me, because I know the real Jamie. And everyone else who's close to us, they know the real Jamie. They know how he is. He's loyal. He's a giving person. And for them to say he was a woman beater, blink twice if I need help. I thought that was the craziest thing in the world.
You're like, I'm good.
And that's why we took every opportunity that we could to do podcasts, to do interviews, because we wanted to be able to say, hey, this is the real Jamie. This is the real Erana. What you see on TV sometimes, it can be edited, and you know how that goes. So, but it was very difficult. The social media, I had to come off social media, because, when people start talking about my husband or talking about my kids, my family, that really just drives me crazy, and my mental was just not there. So season 2 and 3 of the show, I didn't do a lot of social media posting or anything.
Did you have any regrets, when that started happening? And I will say, you and Jamie are the only reality TV couple, reality TV show that I even spent any time of my life watching. So I feel like I know you all. But did you have any regrets about being that transparent, being that vulnerable, allowing the world to see what goes on in your home, in your marriage?
Well, let's say this. When we first got the call from the producer that we were selected to be on the show, I told Jamie, I said, we're going to not cover up anything. Like, whatever's happening at that moment with our family or with our marriage, it's going to be filmed. We're going to be very transparent. You know, we're not going to hide anything. It is what it is. It's going to play out, period. Because I don't want people to say, oh, they're pretending to have this relationship, this amazing relationship with no issues and no problems, and that's not true. You know, marriages come with issues sometimes. You know, it's not a perfect marriage out here. It's not a perfect relationship. And we wanted to show the real Tyler.
So do you regret that now?
I don't, because it helped a lot of people. Like, you know, things that we were doing
but did it help
on the
you
show.
all?
I mean, it gave us a nice platform, you know, where we were able to do certain things. You know, okay, let me be honest. Some days I did have where I was like, why did I do this? You know, because every little thing you do, you know, is on social media. Oh, Erana's this, or Erana's that, or, you know, talking about the kids, or, you know, my mom, she was on the show as well. And, you know, sometimes I will sit back and say, you know, this is hard. This is hard. You have to have tough skin when you're on reality
in life.
TV. Like,
on TV and off TV.
Yes, if you're a very emotional, crybaby type person,
it's not for you.
It's not for you. Like, you have to have tough skin, because if you see things that you don't like on social media, if people are talking bad about you and your family, you have to be able to just keep going. I mean, it's a TV show, and it is what it is.
Love and Marriage DC, you all have had season 3. That was the last.
That was the last season.
The last season. You would do it again?
I would do it again.
Okay.
We're actually waiting for a phone call. You know, we talked to the producers maybe 3 months ago, and they called and asked us what were we doing, and, you know, what's going on with the family, you know, putting a package together. And it's just about, you know, other couples, you know, that we can refer to the show. And it just went silent.
Okay. Well, sometimes there's a silence is golden. So we'll be waiting and watching. So what have you been doing since Love and Marriage DC season 3? You've really done a deep dive into entrepreneurship. Tell us about it.
So before the show, and I want everybody to know this, I was not just a reality superstar. I'm going to say superstar.
Yes, superstar.
I had a career. I worked for the federal government. I had a background in HR. Now I pivot after the show because we haven't heard anything. I now own my own consulting company called J&E Enterprise. I also have a wig line. My husband and I also are brand ambassadors for wine, 202, Imperial 202. And I also do pop-up events for my online boutique called iVision Boutique, where we get a lot of small businesses to come together and shop and support those small businesses. So I'm doing a lot in entrepreneurship. They call me a serial entrepreneur. I've always been that person.
Which is okay. I think that is so amazing, especially for so many people who are watching and listening. They are in this space and place and phase in life where they need to pivot, and they may not know where to begin. Where should they start?
I would say surround yourself around people who are doing great things. You know, you don't want to be with someone who's just lazy and doesn't have any type of energy or anything to go out and hustle. Let's say that. I would say surround yourself around those people. Get yourself a mentor. You know, I've had a mentor, my husband, and I still have a mentor that steers me in the right direction. I have a manager as well who also helps me when I have obstacles that I run into for business. And, you know, I would just say, you know, keep pressing forward. You know, if you have to pivot, and you have to pivot, you know, people look at it, reality stars, and think this is all we do and this is all we can do. And we're going to just sit around and wait for another opportunity or a show to come around. No, the bills still have to be paid. The mortgage still has to be paid.
Right.
So at some point you have to make those changes. You have to pivot and think of the next opportunity that you can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, people are scared of it, but you can't be scared.
What would you say has been the hardest part about pivoting from reality TV to serial entrepreneurship?
I would say, you know, just the public eye. You know, people watching very closely, because once we're on a TV show, people are watching everything that we do. So it's almost like you can't make any mistakes, you know, and when you start a new business or you're starting something new besides reality TV and it fails or something goes wrong, we're still on this major platform where the bloggers will take anything and showcase it on social media as a bad thing. You know, so when I had to pivot and say, you know what, the show may not come back, I have to think of the next thing. Thinking about things that I'm doing currently, and if I make a mistake, or if, like you said, the business will fail, anything can happen. I just know that people are still looking at us like these reality stars, and they're looking at us with this microscope, and it's like we still have to be perfect to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't make any mistakes. Those type of things. I just feel like we're just being watched by the public so much. It's almost like, should I do this? Can I sell clothes? You know, are they going to look at me a certain type of way if I do something that they feel that's less than or different than being a superstar on TV?
And you can be a superstar on or off television.
I've always been a superstar.
You haven't, yes, correct.
I was born a superstar.
Correct. So before we go, we ask everybody that comes in the Good Word, and I'm so happy because you get to answer this question in person. What is the good word?
So my good word is to never give up. You know, I've had my challenges, I had my struggles growing up, but I never gave up. You know, I kept pushing forward, and here I am today. And I'm speaking to single moms, I'm speaking to teenagers, I'm speaking to men and women. You know, keep going forward. Don't let anyone tell you what you cannot do. You have those powers and those superpowers. As long as you believe in God, you can do whatever you want.
I love it. Never give up.
Never give up.
Erana Tyler with us today on The Good Word. We are on demand on Fox Local Sundays at 10 a.m. and on Fox Soul Sundays at 4 and 4:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm Tisha Lewis. Thank you for watching The Good Word. Until next time.